Continuing rules and administration of the Senate. Rules.senate.gov at starting with the VII is the 7. Morning business. On each legislative day after the journal is read, the presiding officer, on the demand of any senator, shall lay before the Senate message from the President, reports and communications from the heads of department, and other communications addressed to the Senate, and such bills, joint resolutions, and other messages from the House of Representatives, as many remain upon his table from any previous day's session undisposed of. The presiding officer, on demand of any senator, shall then call for the following order: A. The presentation of petitions and memorials. B. Reports of committees. C. The introduction of bills and joint resolutions. D. The submission of other resolutions. E. All of which shall be received and disposed of in such order, unless unanimous consent shall be otherwise given, with newly offered resolutions being called for before resolutions coming over from a previous legislative day are laid before the Senate. 2. Until the morning business shall have been concluded, and the announcement from the chair, or until 1 hour after the Senate convenes after beginning of a new legislative day, no motion to proceed to the consideration of any bill, resolution, report of a committee, or other subject called upon the calendar shall be entertained by the presiding officer, unless by unanimous consent. Provided, however, that on Mondays, which are the beginning of the legislative day calendar, shall be called under Rule 8, and under 2 hours after the Senate convenes, no motion shall be entertained to proceed to the bill consideration of a bill, resolution, or other subject upon the calendar, except the motion to continue the consideration of a bill, resolution, or other subject against objection, and provided in Rule 13. 8, or until the calendar has been completed. That is 8. 3. The presiding officer may at any time lay, and it shall be in order at any time for a senator to move to lay before the Senate a bill or other matter sent to the Senate by the President or House of Representatives for appropriation action allowed under the rules, and any question pending at the time that shall be suspended for this purpose. Any motion so made shall be determined without debate. 4. Petitions or memorials shall be referred to, without debate, to the appropriate committee according to the subject matter of the same basis as bills and resolutions, if signed by the petitioner or memorialist. A question of receiving or reference may be raised and determining without the debate, but no petition or memorial or other paper signed by citizens of the subject of the foreign power shall be received unless the same is to be transmitted to the Senate by the President. 5. Only a brief statement of the contents of petitions and memorials shall be printed on the congressional record, and no other portion of any petition or memorial shall be printed on the record unless specifically so ordered by vote by Senate, as provided in paragraph 4 of Rule 11, in which case the order shall be deemed to apply the body of the petition or memorial only. And names attached to the petition or the memorial shall not be imprinted unless specifically entered and ordered, except that the petitions and memorials from the legislature or conventions lawfully called, or of the respective states, territories, and insular possessions shall be printed in full in the record wherever presented. 6. Senators having petitions, memorials, bills, or resolutions to present after morning hour may deliver them in the absence of objections by the presiding officer's desk, endorsing upon them their names, and the which approval that the presiding officer they shall enter on the journal within the names of the senators, presenting them in absence of objection shall be considered having read twice and referred to appropriate committees. And a transcript such entries shall be furnished to the official reporter of debates for publication in Congressional Record under the direction of the Secretary of the Senate. Next, we have our order of business and messages. Order of business. At the conclusion of the morning business at the beginning of a new legislative day, upon motion of the Senate shall any time otherwise ordered, the Senate shall proceed to the consideration of the calendar of bills and resolutions, and shall continue the consideration until 2 hours after the Senate convenes in such day, the end of the morning hour, and bills and resolutions that are not objected to shall be taken upon their order. And each senator shall be entitled to speak once and for 45 minutes upon any question, and an objection may be interposed at any stage of the proceedings, but upon motion of the Senate may continue such consideration, and this order shall commence immediately after the call for other resolutions, or after disposition of resolution coming under rule, and shall take the precedence of the unfurnished business and the other or special days. But if the Senate shall proceed on motion with any consideration of matter notwithstanding an objection, the foregoing provisions touching debate shall not apply. 2. All motions made during the first 2 hours of the legislative day and proceeding to the consideration of a new matter shall be determined without debate, except motions to proceed with consideration of any motion, resolution, or proposal to change of the standing rules of the Senate shall be debatable. Motions made after the first 2 hours of a new legislative day to proceed to consideration of the bills and resolutions are debatable. Lastly, we got messages. Messages. 1. Messages from the President of the United States from the House of Representatives may be received at any time, any stage of proceedings, except while the Senate is voting or ascertaining the President as a quorum, or while the journal is being read, or while a question of order or a motion to adjourn is pending. 2. Message shall be sent to the House Representative by the Secretary, who shall be previously certified the determination of the Senate upon all bills, joint resolutions, and resolutions which may be communicated to the House, or in which its occurrence may be requested. And the Secretary shall be certified and deliver to the President of the United States all resolutions and other communications which be directed to him by Senate. Next are special orders. That's the next section.